Good day everyone, so you've got Yae Miko and you're wondering, well, how can I make the most out of my character? And that's basically what I want to answer in this video. Now, we've covered her E ability and her Q ability on the channel, so I'm not really going to dig into that. In fact, what I want to dig into today is specifically her talent, the Enlightened Blessing. And basically this talent is pretty simple. For every 100 points you've got here, she does 15% more damage with her E ability. Except she doesn't. And this is the weird thing. The Genshin Impact damage equation, which we've covered before on the channel, has got all sorts of little quirks and stuff, but effectively 15% doesn't mean that the number that you see on screen is going to be 15%. There are all sorts of things that go into it, and initially I wanted to explain properly like what's going on there, but I think I'll just lose too many people if I bring up the maths. So instead of bringing up the maths, I decided to bring up Masanori, and I think nothing demonstrates this better than sort of a bit of a showcase. But to do the showcase, we obviously just need to set a few ground rules. This is my Yae's talents, obviously Constellation 0, and the build that she's got I think is pretty high for an F2P sort of player. So this should be at the very high end of what you can achieve with Yae Miko, and yes, someone in the comment section is probably going to have a much better build, and yes, we don't care because all we care about is just sort of demonstrating the principles, and that's what I need everyone to focus on. So please don't pay attention to the numbers, but pay attention to why those numbers are increasing. And if you do so, then you'll find a lot of success with Yae Miko. So this is the thing. With the fact that she scales with, or not that she scales, that she's got this passive talent, which helps her elemental mastery, it does beg the question, what kind of team comps does Yae actually want? Well, obviously she works exceptionally well with Raiden by design, but because she's got this little elemental mastery here and she's got that constant ticking like electro damage hitting on the field, she's very well suited for reaction based team comps. In fact, something like official Kokumi, Yae and Sucro's team is pretty good. In fact, I've ran this team on the channel in the Spiral Abyss on an F2P level, and we've very comfortably 9-starred all the floors, all 6 chambers on floor 12. So it's definitely possible, and hopefully I can share some of the secrets. So the first secret is we need to increase elemental mastery, and we're not going to do that with artifacts. We're going to use Sucrose for that purpose. Basically, if you've got lots of EM on Sucrose, her passive talents here effectively pass some of that to your other characters. In this case, we can increase our little damage bonus of 15% to about 45, in my case 50% with Yae Miko. So let's just quickly go and demonstrate that. Okay, so he's just scolding us. That's kind of nice. Okay, so let's just start the battle. And let's just put up a bit of a baseline. So, yes, he's in his enraged state. So, hopefully you guys will see even, yeah, 9,000 right there. 9,000 per sort of hit. That's pretty strong. So, can we do better? And the answer is yes, of course we can do better. But to do so, let's just quickly wait for the Electro and everything to expire. And let me show you guys. Alright, so now that the Electro is expired, I'm just going to do one tap on one tap of E on Sucrose, and look at that, Yae Miko's Elemental Mastery has gone up by quite a bit. So what happens if we now go and place these little totems? Well, you'll see they're doing now about 10,000 damage, which is not too bad. So basically, by pressing one button on my Sucrose, I've just lifted Yae Miko's damage a bit, and that's due to how her passive talent works. But that's not the full story, because if you understand the fact that we're increasing the damage, you also realize that that extra damage also scales with the electro resistance of the enemy, any electro damage bonus we've got. In other words, if your Sucrose is running a 4-piece Viridescent Venerous set and you reduce the resistance on the enemy, well, your totems are going to really start hitting hard. So let's just quickly reset. I think he's going to go into... Yep, he's going to go into defensive mode, so let's just try and break that. And there's a swirl. And look at that, our 9,000 is now 13,000. Of course, if we now press Sucrose's Q and we now infuse it with Electro, we can get up to 14,000 damage. And that's just sort of how these things work. But basically, the gist of it is you're going to Yae Miko, you're giving her more elemental mastery, you're reducing the opponent's resistance, and you are hitting for pretty much like almost like 50% more damage, which is pretty nice. I mean, just two characters on their own have effectively given you the value of like a C6 constellation on Yae, and that's pretty good. But this is not where the fun stops. If I now introduce a Kokomi in the mix and we trigger Electro Charge, you can see there's the number 2,965, and that number is now going to bump up to, you can see there, 6,554. So basically we've more than doubled the electrocharge reaction damage by swirling correctly, and then obviously also passing a bit of elemental mastery onto Yae Miko as well. And this is sort of the entire secret. Yae Miko thrives in a reaction-based team comp, and the more reactions you put together, the more all of these can like stack up very quickly to give you some very high damage numbers. So alright guys, I just wanted to sort of speak to you about the little combat in the background. So what you've seen is just a very simple way to increase Yae Miko's damage, and I think let's talk about team comps right now, and let me just quickly replace my little Klee. And we are official. So basically, when you're running a Yae Miko Taser team, the entire goal is to effectively have a large number of like off-field damage sources that you're effectively now going to bring together with Sucrose. And the moment you do that, the damage that you're doing with the totems, the 13k each, effectively gives you almost like 40k damage, like 39, 40k. With that, you have Fischl's Oz like ticking in the background, you've got Kokomi ticking in the background, and if you add up all the damage, you're doing quite a lot of effective DPS per second, and that can allow you as an F2P to really sort of clear the Spiral Abyss pretty quickly. And obviously we've done a run like that on the channel as well, where we've cleared all the chambers on 412 with an entirely sort of F2P friendly Yae Miko team with a decent time left on the clock as well. And that's the big thing about Yae Miko. She's not about just getting these big fundable damages. I think a lot of people focus too much on her burst. The real focus of her kit is her E ability and how it enables reactions. And once you understand that and you can put the pieces of the puzzle together, you really start seeing how much effective, consistent damage Yae Miko can do. And I know there are people on the internet that have said, you know, why do I need Yae Miko when my C6 Eula and my C6 Raiden can just one-shot the game? And, you know, props to you that you can one-shot the game, but I think the intention of Genshin Impact is not just to one-shot everything with physical damage, but to instead use reactions. Well, this is my interpretation at least. If you guys remember way back in Mondstadt, there were very clearly like trials and stuff here to sort of introduce you to the notion of all the different things you can do with reactions. In fact, reactions are a very fundamental part of Genshin Impact, and this is why I like Yae, because unlike Shenna and Ito and some of the other characters, she's like one of these characters that can actually thrive with reactions. And I'm so excited to see not just what current cast of characters can do, but also future characters can do with Yae as well. I think it's refreshing. I like the duality. You know, you can either play her with Raiden and get some really fantastic results, or you can play her on her own in a reaction-based team like this, and you can still get good results as an F2P.